Hi there, it's Kevin with Roguedeckbuilder.com here with a John brew that I'm trying to mess around with for the PTQ Salt Lake City. You guys have seen my list for RG Aggro. The list was doing terrible against Mono Black. I cannot run it. With as amount of Mono Black that I think is going to be at PTQ Salt Lake, I cannot run that list, and so I'm going to try to switch it over to a Jund deck that does a lot better against Mono Black. So far, this has been testing very well. This isn't the actual list. I'll show you the cards that I'll put in from Dragon's Maze, but this is the best cards that I've come up with in the actual just Theros. But excuse me, not even Dragon's Maze. It's Born of the Gods. So what Born of the Gods actually offers is Xenagos, which is amazing. Xenagos in this deck has some really sick draws, and I'll put them all over here. It's a 2 of Xenagos, and then I take down the Stormbreath Dragons and whatnot, and then we also get the temples. The Temple of Malice, which is a 4 of in the deck, and then I also have from which is a 3 of, which has been testing very well, is Fanatic of Xenagos, which are these guys. They're really cool because they're always either a 4/4 haster or a 3/3 haster with +1/+1 or a 4/4 permanent. So they're really good with like this Flesh Blood Gore Clan Rampager and also the Xenagos combo, because you can win games out of nowhere with this deck. Excuse me, with having Xenagos, God of Revels, and like a Flesh and Blood or a Gore Clan Rampager. It's just so much damage. Sometimes the board will be all clogged up and you can just win with a trample that can go through, you know, all the Master of Waves tokens. So anyway, there's that, and then the last one is Courser of Crufix, and this is a 3 of in the deck. And usually what I cut out, so far the list that I have right now that I've cut out, is I've gone down on Boon Satyrs. They're only a 2 of in the deck, so I've switched out Boon Satyrs. I've switched out 1 Domri, and I'm down to 2 Manglers. Is what I do for the 5 draw, or for the 5 slot here. So all these 5 come in, and then let's see, and then Arachno's Key Rune. So these are the swaps right here. Swap these for the Born of the Gods, and then the Xenagos you basically just swap the Stormbreaths, and on the land count I'm swapping 2 Blood Crypts and 2 forests for the temples. So this is the difference of the list between the two. Actually, I'll put them over here like this, so you can get an idea of which ones come in and which ones come out for what I'm actually running right now. And it's been testing very well. It just gets these sickest draws. The whole idea of the deck is to go a 1-3-5 strategy. What a 1-3-5 strategy is: a first turn Elvish Mystic into a second turn Rakdos Key Rune into a third turn 5-drop, whether it be Underworld Cerberus, or, which is so good in this deck. This card is crazy good with Xenagos. I'll just put it out there. If you haven't tested this guy with Xenagos, a 12/12 that basically cannot be blocked, that gets haste, is so nutty. And even on that turn, sometimes you'll have, it could be like my 6th turn where I actually have 7 mana available through the Sylvan Carrotids and Elvish Mystics, where it's Underworld Cerberus armed. I've done that already. I've done the Underworld Cerberus armed Fanatic of Xenagos, attack for 14/14 double strike, basically cannot be blocked, and it just, again, crazy draws. So basically, let's just go down the list. So there's, of course, the first turn God draws always have an Elvish Mystic in your hand. If you don't, we have this backup route of Sylvan Carrotid, and Sylvan Carrotid helps when it comes into play tap land first turn, and then you can have an untapped forest come into play, and then of course you can get a 5-drop still a turn early by doing that strategy. You can still get it on turn 4, or it's just excess mana to actually. What I really like about Sylvan Carrotid is he guards Domri a lot of times on turn 3. You drop Sylvan Carrotid turn 2, and then turn 3 you can actually cast Domri and just have a 0/3 blocker to actually help Domri and whatnot. Another cool combination, which is so good in the deck, is Courser of Crufix and Domri. This combo is nutty. It draws you so many cards because you get to know what's on top of your library and when to use Domri. And the Scry lands are really good with Domri as well, because you get a Scry to see if you can actually get card advantage out of Domri or not. Again, Gorkland Rampager is doing really, really nutty things in this deck. So is Boon Satyr. I'm liking just the 2 of Stormbreath Dragons. I think the 4 is a little overkill. I do have one in my other version. I've got one on the sideboard for... I'm only running 2 Dreadboards now, but I'm thinking I need to run 3, and I am running a full package of 3 Mistcutters, and pretty much the sideboard is the exact same, except for one Dreadboard right now is a Stormbreath Dragon, and I have messed around Pelucranos, but Pelucranos just seems to be a little awkward in this deck, but everything else is pretty much similar to the sideboard here. So talking about the sideboard, I've got one Chandra Pyromaster. This comes in versus Control, and you can get it out 3rd turn with a Sylvan Caryatid. So Control, what you do is you just take out like all of the Fanatic of Xenagoses. I take out the Courser of Crucifixes. Usually take out, that's the main thing I take out. Sometimes I take out even Gorkland Rampagers, and sometimes even like these Flesh and Bloods. And what you bring in versus Control is the 2 Planeswalkers, the Chandra and the Xenagos. You don't want to get stuck with too many of these in your hand. I bring in the Rurik Thar, I bring in the Dreadboars, and then I bring in the Golgari Charms and the Mistcutter Hydras. As a really, it depends on the Control list. If it's a blue Control type deck, I bring in Mistcutter Hydras. If not, then they do not come in. So Golgari Charm is pretty good in the sideboard because it takes care of mono blue, and it takes care of a lot of weenie strategies. As a -1/-1 is very pertinent in this format. But the really cool thing is it regens the creatures, gives you an option against Supreme Verdict that you can still go your 1st turn Elvish Mystic into like 2nd turn Fanatic of Xenagos, and then you can keep up Golgari Charm mana to actually regenerate that, and a lot of times it just puts them back really far. Or you can even get out, like sometimes you even have multiple things out. And Golgari Charm to regenerate is really good, especially late game too, against the Supreme Verdicts. But again, this has Destroy Target Enchantment, and I am worried about Thassa, but usually the card out of mono blue that really screws us over is Biden of Thassa, because it gives them card advantage over us because we don't have anything to block their Clavin Raptors. And so Golgari Charm's a great card just to get rid of the Biden of Thassa, and of course it's an anti-Master of Wave strategy. So you have the Mizium Mortars against any decks using 4 toughness creatures like Loxodon and Smiters, or the Courser of Crucifix decks. We also have Mizium Mortars in here as a board wipe. It's not hard to generate 6 mana, and it's not hard to generate 3 red. Even though the deck looks a little iffy to 3 red, with the Rakdos, Keyrunes, and Sylvan Caryatid, it's very possible. So again, that's the list I'm running. I'm going to do some playtesting here with just the cards that I have available from Dragons, or from Theros, and not from the Born of the Gods. So we'll take those back out. And again, Born of Gods is released tomorrow. Unfortunately, I will be gone all day tomorrow. I will be up in Salt Lake. I'll probably do some events up in Salt Lake probably do the FNM up at the Epic Puzzles and Games. So, yep. Yeah, give me a text or message me if you're in the Salt Lake area, if you guys want to go get drinks on Friday or something like that. I'm probably open for that. I'll probably be with some buddies. I used to live in Salt Lake, so whenever I get up there, I try to stay up there as long as possible so I can visit friends and whatnot. I lived there for a good 6 years, so I've got a lot of friends and family up there that need to make the rounds for. But I'd love to meet some fans. I'd love to get some drinks and whatnot. So this has been Kevin with Roguedeckbuilder.com. Thanks for watching.